Hey, welcome back to another Mind the Mic. Here with another special guest in the building, a brother of the Cook Island Persuasion, Cookie's Persuasion, played over 60 games in the NRL for the Roosters, Cronulla, and even played as trade for over 150 games for the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. I think that's how they called him. The bro Tinirau Arona. What's good, my brother?
Kia ora, brother. Wakefield Trinity they are now. They were the Wildcats when I first got there, but they're the Wakefield Trinity now. So,
there you go. Sorry, Cats fans. My bad. My bad, brothers.
We always say the Cats never die. So we held the old Wakefield Wildcats, even when we were changed to the Trinity when I was there. So after Wildcats.
After Wildcats. That's it. After Wildcats, my brother. So for anybody that is listening, they heard that little spiel I gave, brother. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Like, let's go back, brother. Way back in time. Where does the brother come from?
Yeah, I remember last night I gave you a message saying I felt like I've lived, 10 lives, been around a fair bit. So born in Dunedin, the south of New Zealand, the pride of the south, they call it.
Yeah.
Lived around the corner. Lived down there with my mum's family. Grew up around the corner from Carrollsbrook, the old Highlanders Stadium they had down there. The House of Pain, they used to call it. So went to Caversham Primary School. Then from there, spent a year in the Cook Islands. So Mum and Papa took us over to the Cook Islands, me and my brother and a couple of my cousins, and we lived there in Mataveta, so in Rarotonga. So
what was that like, brother? That year? How old are you at the time?
I was in year 5, so just finishing primary school. It was tough when I first got there because it wasn't like the main town; it was a small village on the island. And a lot of this, you think you have a lot of money when you're a kid, but looking back now, we didn't have much. So a lot of it was spent out swimming on the ocean or running around with the kids. And once I found my community, once I found my crew, I actually really loved it and didn't want to leave when my parents came over and decided to take us back to New Zealand. But no, I love the experience. I got to really learn about my own culture and the blood that runs through my veins and learn from my mum and papa as well. So I hold that place close to my heart. So from there moved back to Dunedin for I think it was only a couple months, and then mum and dad dad was already living in Sydney, and mum decided that we'll make the big move to Western Sydney, in a place called Colleton, just up the road from St. Mary's. And that's where we were based in year 2000, the year they had the Olympics in Sydney.
Oh yeah. Oh, true. So you came before the Olympics was on?
Came just before the Olympics. Yep. I was in year 6, so just finishing primary school. I played rugby union. Down in New Zealand.
Of course, but especially down those ways, in the cold airs in Dunedin, because compared to the Cooks and even
I think we were only one of few Islander families down south. And then when we moved over here, there was no rugby union; it was all rugby league. So, there was no sport when I first arrived. But it wasn't until I actually hated Sydney when we got here. It was just too big. Didn't really, I was disconnected from my family, from my friends, from back home. But once I actually started playing footy, it was about 2-3 years into my life here in Sydney. That's when I actually, really started to enjoy life here in Australia and understood what this country had to offer a young Pacifica Islander moving from New Zealand, and just really attached myself to rugby league, and haven't looked back since. From there, Penrith Panther Junior, I ended up making my debut for Sydney Roosters in the NRL. Played a few years there. Went to the Cronulla Sharks. Had a couple of years there, and then moved over to England and played for the Wakefield Trinity for 7 years. It was.
7 years.
That was a bit of a fast forward that last little rugby journey.
All good, brother. All good. But did you also debut for the Cooks when you were 17? Is that true? Or?
Yeah. So I made my international debut for the Cook Islands when I was 17. A moment I'll probably never ever forget. We played, I think it was Tonga. It was Samoa. We played Samoa, and we played in St. Mary's too. So it was only around
in the hood.
Else.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and I was the youngest on the field. I played hooker, and I remember we got smashed that day. It was 50 something to 6. The score was, and I was the only one who scored the try for the Cook Islands.
You're the try.
Yeah.
Brother. That's
Passed the ball to a teammate, Adam Watine, who sadly passed away. It was a mean hospital because it was close to the line. He gets pumped, drops the ball as he gets laid out, and I just, everyone stopped and paused to worry about like him on the ground, and I grabbed the ball and picked it over the line. I put it over the line for the try. Ref the ball, and then we
played the whistle, eh, brother?
yeah. And then I think Adam Watine got stretchered after that. So, but yeah, he's.
How does that happen, brother?
Sorry.
How does that happen as a 17-year-old to play? How do you get called up to play for the Cook Islands? How does that all happen?
So I was involved in all the Cook Island junior footy that they had then. So I started back in under 15s, and actually Isaac John, so another Cook Islander, Kiwi fella. Ice. That you might know from YKTR. We were in the same sort of junior rankings with the Cook Island League, and from under 15s, I was involved with the rugby league, where they'll just pretty much gather anyone who was Cook Island and loved and played rugby league. We got to have a few test matches and at the junior level, and then from there, because I was so invested in the Penrith Panthers system, heavily involved there. They gave me the opportunity to represent at the international level.
Let's go, brother. How did you when you end up debuting for the Roosters, brother? Like, what's that? Did they tell you straight away early in the week, or how did that happen when you debuted for the Roosters?
So being a heavy Penrith Panther junior, my dream was to always play for the Penrith Panthers. But as you know, some of us had to move to other clubs to get our opportunity. But I think right now Penrith Panthers is, it's red hot right now. It's a place to be. But they found the system to be able to funnel a lot of their juniors into their senior team, whereas back then that wasn't always the case. And so we moved on and tried to find other opportunities. The goal was to play NRL. Went to Sydney Roosters, and Brian Smith was the head coach. Spent 1 year just training with the full-time squad by playing reserve grade. This was coming out of under 20s. And then the last year, this was 2010, the last game of 2010, the coach rings me. He's like, "Hey, mate, just want to let you know that, you would have been debuting this year, this game, if we could fit you in the cap," because apparently they had cap problem. He goes, "I just wanted to let you know that you were close." In a way, I was actually more upset because I was like, man, I dreamt about playing in the NRL, like genuine dreams. I've fallen asleep. I've gone out, told my family friends are watching. I've played the game. I've come off, and then I've woke up disappointed because I'm like, damn, just another dream. And I remember having a few of them. That was always the goal. And,
manifesting, my brother. Manifesting, visualization, even in the dreams, eh?
Yeah, that's the one, bro. And so he tells me that, and then I was a bit disappointed, but in a way, I was like, okay, I'm not far. The coach says, look, this off season, I want you to keep a food diary. I need you to come back fitter. This is when usually players go away and go on holiday, whereas he set me a challenge to come back leaner, fitter. So represented Cook Islands as well in that off season. I remember taking the food diary. Anything that touched my mouth, I'd record it, even if it was soft drinks, chocolates. I'd still put it down to hold myself accountable. Come back after come back for preseason in 2011, end of 2010. And the coach was just stoked. He's like, man, with the evidence and the way you've come back, I can feel you're in for a big year. And I think it was round 7. I got the phone call. It was actually the day before the game. Frank Paul
Oh,
Nuasala.
true.
Yeah. I didn't train with the team leading up to the game. I was preparing to play for Newtown Jets. It was the New South Wales Cup team for the Roosters then. It was Saturday morning, and I was preparing to play for them, and then get a call from the coach. He said, Frank Paul Nuasala has gone down. We need you to come in tomorrow to play. And I'm like, oh, am I coming in to be 18th man? And he's like, no, you're on the bench. And I was like, oh, like shocked as. And I just gone, thanks, mate. I'll see you tomorrow. And then he's like, I go, actually, I don't need to be at training. He goes, no, you'll be all right. So he hangs up the phone. I try and keep it cool. As soon as I hang up, I'm just cheering. I'm, screaming my lungs out. I go, who do I tell? So first person I call was call my mum. Mum was she didn't answer. Called Dad. I go, Dad, I'm making my debut tomorrow. And Dad's like, oh, cool. But you could tell, I could tell he had a bit of a smile on his face. And called my wife. She was stoked, and then I actually called my first junior rugby league coach at St. Clair Comets, Brian Carney. So I made sure that always show love to the people that helped me get to where I was, and he was very, very proud. And then the next day turned up and got to play against the West Tigers. And I look back, I think I seen that team about a month or two ago. And they had guys like Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah. And I was like, man, I got to debut against some mean-ass players. And looking at my own team, Anthony Minicello, Braithen Astor, Boyd Corner was there at the time, some huge names, and Todd Carney, but players that that were legends of the game. And I was just honored to be in that surrounding.
Yeah, beautiful, brother. Beautiful. So you play 30-odd games there, and then up at the Sharks though, brother. Like, what's the go there?
Yep. So 2013 was the year the Sydney Roosters won. That was when we had guys like Sonny Bill Williams, Michael Jennings, James Maloney, Sam Moa. Man, I could go on. That whole team was
weapons, brother.
If they're not playing for the Kiwis, they're playing for the blue state of origin teams, New South Wales or Queensland. I was very, very grateful to have played 3 games that year.
A young RTS too, brother? Young RTS in there too?
A young Roger was there with Anthony Minicello as well. Roger was on the wing. Daniel Tupou was there.
Bro, Tupou's still doing it. What a weapon.
Hey. Yeah. Now he's, him and Jared too. Jared's actually playing.
Yeah, Jared.
His 300th NRL game this week for the Sydney Roosters, or for NRL. But so, just from that team, 2013, the coach Trent Robinson, he was pretty honest and pulled me in a room, and he's like, I respect everything that he respected everything that I've done for the club and the role that I've played, but he wanted to be honest and transparent. And he said, if you do have an opportunity to go to another club for longer years because you've got 1 year on your contract, I can't promise you, because of the squad that he had, I can't promise you that you'll have a lot of games. You might get lucky, but at the moment, you're just in that sort of reserve position. So unless an opportunity comes up through injuries, then you most likely be playing New South Wales Cup. So he encouraged me to take on any opportunities. And
Are you grateful? Are you grateful, brother, that he was honest and transparent? Like, he could have beat around the bush, like I've heard. Like sometimes you hear, organizations do, and then the players are unsure, they're dropped and in and out. Like, are you grateful that he was just open with you and said, "Bro, you're probably not part of our plans unless something bad happens"?
Well, on the back of that, he said he'll still be one of my biggest supporters, whichever club I chose to go to. So
what a weapon!
I had nothing but respect for Robbo, and I still do. I place him highly as when it comes to coaches, and probably one of if not the best coach that I've had in rugby league. So nothing but respect for that moment, because it led me to the Cronulla Sharks, where I got to have 2 years, a 2-year contract over there. And during my time at Sydney Roosters, I still lived at Western Sydney. So I was driving or catching a train to training, which was minimum 1 hour to get to training, and then a minimum hour back. So I remember one time me and Sonny Tuigamala, we drove to Bondi. We had to meet there for a team photo, and it took us 3 hours to get to training because of the traffic back then. Yeah,
Sydney traffic hectic, brother.
Yeah, and then there was times where we're gonna catch the train now. Had different teammates that lived out west as well, and probably one of the most famous ones was Tai Tuivasa. We used to catch a train. Bam Bam would catch a train at Sydney Roosters. He was training with the full-time squad at that time. And I remember the day actually we're driving back, on the train back. And he's like, man, I think I'm going to stop playing, eh? I go, why? And he's like, I just stop, don't have the love for the game anymore. And I go, what are you going to do? And he goes, I'm going to go and fight. And I was like, hey, you're going to go and fight? And he goes, yeah, I'm going to go try and take up fighting. Bro, 10 years later, he's one of the main guys in the UFC representing Australia, and done really well. But yeah, that was my journey at Roosters. But when I went to the Cronulla Sharks, me and my wife decided that would move to Cronulla and not make it. But,
so that was easier, brother. Being in the area a lot easier than 3 hours.
Bro, it was mean. I actually really loved that city, that town. Loved it that much that me and my wife are going to eventually move back there. So we say.
Oh, true.
But yeah, the kids just don't want to move there right now. They want to stay out Western Sydney, or surrounded around the family and the culture out here. So we're we moved there. Loving my time at Cronulla Sharks. Probably one of my biggest moments was being able to being able to take the field and play in the same team as my first cousin, Tupou Supuanga, and being able to share that field and share that moment for our family, to be able to say that you got to play with blood, it's quite rare. So it was a special moment.
That's pretty cool, my brother. Pretty cool for the Arno, my brother. What do you mean? Oh, that's on, man. So, you talked about Bam Bam there, brother, for a second. Can we just give it as a player when he was younger? Was he mean, brother? Was he mean as in your opinion?
Bro, that guy could have been the best rugby league player in the comp, man. It's him and the crew that he played with at Sydney Roosters. My brother was there as well. They come through the SG Ball 20s competition, and he come through with Dylan Napa, Kane Evans, that age group. But he was just a natural talented athlete. Had ball skills, but had the size to back it up as well. So, he was the man.
No, I mean, my brother. The time in the Shire was cool. You enjoyed it. You're gonna move there. Long-term goals, you Mumsy, eventually. But it's only a 2-year period, brother, and you end up in the UK. What's the go there? How did that end up happening?
So my first head coach at the Sydney Roosters, Brian Smith. He was the coach of Wakefield Trinity at the time, and my contract was finishing up at the Cronulla Sharks, and I was 25, 26 at the time, and he reached out to my agent and just said, there's the opportunity to come to England. And I remember Brian Smith actually telling me early in my career when I was at the Sydney Roosters, he goes, I can see you playing, and excelling your career in the UK. And at then I was, early 20s. My dream was to play NRL. I'm like, man, I don't care about the Super League. What are you telling me about the UK now? But it was just funny how he said it. And maybe it was about 4 or 5 years later, I'm now making the decision to go over to the UK. So I signed at Wakefield Trinity, myself and Anthony Tupou. We both traveled there from the Cronulla Sharks. And over there at the time was Bill Tupou, that played for the Warriors.
For my warrior, up the was, up the Cats.
He was there. Mikey Seo, and Jacob Miller, one of the Aussie boys, and then David Fafita. He ended up coming halfway through that year. But just a real different culture, Just going over to the UK. It's cold, it's dark, especially at that time of the year. We arrived in December. It was dark at 4 p.m. The sun wasn't coming up till about 8, 9 a.m. And then it was just wet. I remember just going there with an open mind and saying, you just take on this opportunity. You get to play rugby league for a living.
Oh yeah, that's the paradigm shift there. Is like, bruh, I know I'm back in Dunedin, but like, yeah, it's all good. Nah.
Yeah, I think that the hardest part for us was that we were disconnected from our family, from our friends, from our tribe. So over the years, we started to reconnect or connect with other people that were in similar situations, other athletes and their families, and we created a really cool circle of friends, and that became our family over the year. Being there for 7 years, it's important for us to keep our wives happy as well.
Yeah, true that, brother. Speak on that a little bit, brother. Like, obviously, your wife seems to be a constant theme throughout your career, even before you debut in that. Like, speak on the importance of that, because there's probably people listening out there that I think look at you guys that play professionally and forget you're the human beings, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like,
we me and my wife, we were together before my professional playing career, and we both had we had twin boys at a young age.
twins.
Yeah.
Right.
I just turned 21, and it was just before she turned 21. So she was still 20, and we had the twin boys, David and Emmanuel. So that was the goal, always to be the provider as a man, as a father, always to make sure that you achieve your dreams. And she's just been my number one supporter throughout this whole journey. Moving to England as well, spending 7 years over there. It's important to make sure that your family's happy first, and as long as my family was happy, then I could go on and play and do the things that I was doing and play out and live out my dream. So it was quite fortunate. I found a good one. And
shout out to Mumsy, brother. What's her name, brother? Can we say her name or not? We don't have to.
Her name's Ellie.
Yeah, Ellie. Shout out to Ellie, man. Shout out to the backbone, name, brother. Let's go. Beautiful.
But like I said, that circle of friends was important. So I know seeing you had my also Jesse Senelfo on the show, someone that I grew up with at Western Sydney, and we actually played for rival clubs. So he played for Castleford Tigers. I was Wakefield Trinity, and both of those clubs are usually big
enemies.
Yes, very, very big enemies. So the fan bases were like, why the hell do you two always hang out together? Why is it always together? And it's quite funny that we kind of just keep ignoring them, and then eventually they just realized that we were always going to be together. So our families got to grow up together. I know he's got a fair few kids as well. His daughter Ariella is my goddaughter. It was cool to be able to connect with him over in the UK, but then also grab all our other Pacific Islander families that felt disconnected from their cultures and their homes, and make our own home in England.
So there was you boys. Were you boys the big drivers in that in your little community, like of pulling people together? A lot of the people away from home, they were in the same situation as you guys. Was that you boys driving a lot of that?
Yeah, in our area, So we're in Yorkshire. We're like the Leeds, Castleford, Wakefield, Huddersfield area. So all of the boys there would all connect at least once. There was times where we were connecting once a week, and because Jesse had the biggest house, we're always going to Jesse's house.
Let's go, brother.
Take a plate, play some cards. Kids will run around. The girls would just be having a yarn, and usually we'll put on some lean feeds as well. So it was cool. I remember, and then the last few years before I left, we'd meet up for Christmas. We would go away for a week, and I remember one Christmas there was 10 families, so it was 10 couples and their kids. We all went into a big Airbnb, and we spent about a week together over that Christmas period. So playing
awesome,
games.
brother.
It was cool to as you can imagine, it's cold, so there's not much you can do. So it was important that we just connect, and a lot of games, a lot of spending time with the kids, and it was fun.
Beautiful, brother. So what you did there, do you think that is a big driver in what you're doing now, like with the RLPA and stuff like that? Like like being the guy to help pull the community together, and one of the guys, the importance of we would say whanaungatanga in Māori. I don't know how to say it. I'm trying to think how you say it in English, but my bad. But yeah, you know what I mean. Just that togetherness. And do you think was that a part of you stepping into the role that you have now in the RLPA, or how did that come about?
So my role at the RLPA, so the RLPA Rugby League Players Association, we represent the players. We're like the union for the players. And when you look at the NRL and the NRLW, there's a lot of PIs, Māori and Pacific Islanders as well. Athletes that represent on the field. So for us as an association, we want to represent our playing group. And that's why, I'm here to be able to represent our people as well. We represent all players, but it's representing also our Pacifico and Māori players on the field. And so yeah, that's part of one of the reasons why I wanted to be here. I think a big thing for me, it's you can't be what you can't see. And growing up, I've always been able to see an NRL player, and I go, okay, that's possible because I know there's another brown person playing NRL.
Yes,
he can do it, I can do it. So I'm, in my own mind, I want to be in a position where there are no many Islanders, because then I am creating the pathway for the next kids coming through. Whether it's at the RLPA, whether it's in radio, whether it's in media, where there's not many of us in them positions, it just creates that pathway. It creates that sense of belief. I'm a big believer in show me, don't tell me. I always try and show my kids before I tell them to do something. I won't tell them to do something that I can't do. So whether it's training, whether it's eating a healthy diet, whether it's creating good habits, I'll make sure that I do it first, so that they know, okay, Dad's not just telling me, it's possible. A good example is jiu-jitsu. So end of last year, I wanted them to do some jiu-jitsu. They've been doing some boxing in the UK, but I knew that for them to join jiu-jitsu, I had to join jiu-jitsu first. So I made sure I went down, jumped in the class, done the rolling, enjoyed the class, went back. I go, all right, boys, yous are up. And they're like, damn, just because Dad done it, now we have to do it. So, but yeah, that's my whole mindset, is being in them positions where there's not many of us, Pacific Islander, New Zealand Māoris, representations in those areas. That way, we can create that sense of belief and
opening doors, brother? Opening doors, and that's a big driver behind what I'm doing here, brother. It's just like, growing up, I didn't see anything but like we just see gangsters, brother. You want to be one of these, or you want to be one of these. You know what I mean? That was about it. And outside of that, that's all I seen, brother. Or maybe you might become an All Black or a Warrior. You know what I mean? Which is very, very small. So like, yeah, for me, that's the same thing, brother. Not even to be like a role model. Like, I'm not just gonna say, hey, I'm a role model, because I'm a silly fella. But like, just if you can see someone else that's a streamer or a podcaster that just sits behind a mic and does it themselves and gives it a crack. Maybe some might not even be kids, but like some adult, like some young adults who like, bro, like my footy career didn't work out or whatever, I'm getting into trouble. Maybe I'll give that a go. So I'm with you, brother. Representation is big time. Big time for sure.
And I also think it's important that we do something that we love, and if we do something that we love, we're going to be good at it. Eventually we'll be good at it. So just keep chipping away at it. I don't think we have to go down that route of doing something that we don't enjoy every day and being miserable. So I think that's a big part of living life, is making sure that we enjoy what we do.
Yeah, beautiful, brother. I'm loving these little gems you're giving to the people. Even with the RLPA, it's like probably, would you say, obviously biased, but would you say RLPA is like one of the best sports unions in the world? I would say so. Like, just from what you've been able to achieve as an organization with compared to like other sports unions, and obviously it's like the Super League doesn't have one, eh?
Yeah, I know the Super League don't have one, and they probably do need one. Being there for so long, I can see a huge difference. And even when I was here at the NRL, I can see the growth and the development of our game and the things that are in place for our players because of the RLPA. I'm not too sure. I haven't learned much about other associations or unions, but what I do know about the RLPA is that it's unique, and our team is like very, very strong, and we're well across pretty much everything. So one thing I said when I after about a month when I joined the team, I was like, man, I feel like I'm joining the Avengers. Everyone's a superhero in their own right, and I'm just coming in to play my role, and everyone works together as one. Everyone's across what everyone else is doing, and we all fight for the same cause to empower and make sure our players are looked after. So that's the way I look at it. I'm a part of the Avengers.
You're the Avengers, brother. And you know what? Because obviously, Valandis gets a lot of props, brother, for the way the game is now. But I think a lot of props should go to Nudo and your whole Avenger team, brother. Because holy Rick, man, a lot of the things that have happened under that guy's watch, and all you legends that work there, brother. It's pretty awesome. As a fan, just a couch potato fan over here, watching, reading articles and listening to podcasts like this. Yeah, I think it's cool, man.
Yeah, some great leaders. Nudo's took some bullets and had to stand at the front line for a long time. So he's, he deserves his flowers and his recognition. But he's got an awesome team behind him as well. Some awesome leaders, some that I have as my own mentors. And we've only, recently we've added to our team, and to have guys like C.S. Oliola and Joe Nullarbell also join the team. As a Pacific Islander myself, I was like, man, just feels like it's the right place for me to be right now, to be able to learn and grow in this space, but also from these kinds of people, like these people with great leadership skills and just awesome people.
Yeah, solid. I know we're jumping all over the place, but that's how my brain works usually. Go back to the UK, my brain. Go back to the UK for us, though, if you can, my brother. Obviously, you spent 7 years there, 150 odd games. What's the day, or what is it that determines for you? Wow, I'm done. Like I'm done. I'm finished. I've had enough.
Oh, good question, that one. Because right now the wheels are still going, I always say till the wheels fall off, and they ain't falling off. Professionally, but not. I still got a bit of petrol left in me.
Yeah, the petrol. It's expensive, that stuff too. Petrol.
It takes a lot of time and commitment. I'll tell you that much. But I think professionally, it was a bit of a different one for me. I got told from my coach. It was only a few weeks before the competition had finished that I wasn't needed, or I wasn't needed for the year after, and that came with a bit of shock. But in a way, I think that was God's way of saying, it's time, let's move on. As I got older, I did feel you start to get that pressure of all the young bulls coming after you and coming after your spot. Like, this is within your own team. So you have to make sure that you hold yourself at a high standard. So you set the standard for the whole team. And eventually, it takes a lot of energy and it weighs down on you. And that's why I have so much respect for guys like Jared Weir, Hargraves, Paul Gallen. Guys
Weapons, for ages.
To think that they were at the top of their game at that age and still hold the standard for their clubs, that takes some energy. Because all the young bucks coming through, they want that position, and they know, if I can maybe put it over Jared, if I can maybe put it over Gallen, that gives me that sense of, okay, maybe I could be the next one up. And I did feel that at Wakefield. A couple of the young boys every now and then would, in the wrestle room, would run a little bit harder. I'm like, oh, yo, sweet, that's us. So
we on.
And I enjoyed that. That's part of the game, It's what keeps you going. It's what keeps it. It kept me young. It was a mixture of getting told you're not wanted, coming to being content with that option of, okay, maybe it's time to go home, and then understanding, maybe it's time to give a bit of energy and time back to your family, back to your career outside of rugby league. And then when you put everything, all those little, what do they call it? Like all those little moments, like those moments of trying to stay on top of your game and put it, and then measure it all up. It was just the right time. So I think it all worked out in the end.
Oh, definitely, brother. Definitely. You said an interesting name there, Paul Gallen, brother. What was he like in those 2 years you had at Cronulla? What if someone asked you, like, give me a little speech on Paul Gallen, your thoughts on Paul Gallen as a human being, and obviously as a leader and player.
Yeah, I think with Gal, he just led through his actions. It was all actions. Didn't have to say much, and when he did speak, everyone listens. And then he just proved on every weekend, just turning up every weekend, about how much work he got through, and at that level, and then also his state level, playing for Blues, playing for the Australia. But yeah, for me it was okay. He leads through his actions. Now I need to do the same. You can talk as much as you want, but if you can't do the actions on the field, if you can't, walk the talk, then there's no point talking. So that's one thing I picked up from Gal, is that guy gets through some work. He works hard off the field as well. He trains hard. He competes. There was one moment. So every training drill, it's a competition for Gal, and it is for most players. They all want to try and beat you at everything. And I remember one time he 100% he's forgotten about this, but because I won it, because I got him this day, I will always remember it.
Yeah, of course.
It was a power clean. I think it was only 140. It was 140 kilos, and that was my PB. And I failed the first one, and then I was like, damn. And then Sam Tangata, he's like, come on, bro, you got this. You got this. And then anyway, he rallies up all the boys around, and then so I jump on the bar, and I end up cleaning it. And then everyone starts cheering. Yeah, I feel like the man. I've like dumped it down. And then I remember Gal had a crack at it after, but he couldn't get it up. And then the boys, Sam's like, bro, you got Gal. Finally, someone got Gal. I'm like, yes, I got Gal. Bro, but that was one win, but he's won, bro, hundreds more. Like whether it be wrestling, bench press, races, man, that guy will win everything. So yeah, I'll claim that one win, that one day that made me feel special.
Solid, my brother. We talked about the RLPA, but you're also working for ABC Pacific, is it? As well?
ABC Pacific, yeah. So
Pacific.
So that's a funny story how that came about, to be honest. So
Let us know, brother. Tell us the story.
So I just come back from the UK, and not really having the RLPA was still going through that CBA CBA war, so they didn't have the funding to be able to get me a position at that time. So I went through the stage of just pretty much I calculated I'd had 10 different jobs last year. I had just tried all different things before I ended up being in the RLPA and do my stuff for ABC. But I was at so one of my good friends that passed away, Masada Yosefa, used to play for the Penrith Panthers. His birthday is on Australia Day, and they've got this tradition. He's called the King of Trizil. So Tregear Hill, he's known for running the most times up this hill. I think it was 50-something times he ran up it. And on his birthday, Australia Day, there's a tradition where the boys will go there that early morning, and however old he turns that day, they'll run that many times up the hill. So that Australia Day, went there, he turned 35, so we had to do 35 laps up the hill, runs up the hill. And one of our mutual friends, so one of his friends that I've crossed paths with maybe a few times, Sammy Wykes, he used to play for
the Force.
Western Force.
Yeah, brother.
Played over in Japan as well. The tall fella, half Tongan, half Australian with Tongan Australian with the Afro. So he was doing that same session. After we finished, we just had a bit of a yarn after. And he's like, "Oh, what have you been up to?" I'm like, "Oh man, I just retired professionally, just moved back." And he had been retired for 1 year out of rugby union. So we got talking about different things, about the sports, about life in general. Anyways, a couple of weeks later, I get a message from him on Insta. He's like, "Hey, bro, you want to have a chat? I just want to run something past you." And I was like, "Oh, yo, sweet." So we start talking. He goes, "I've been asked to do a radio show for ABC, and it covers rugby league and rugby union, and I'm looking for a rugby league guy." And I just gone, "No, I don't think that's my thing, I don't think radio or podcasting is something that I'm good at." And then he said, "One thing I realized coming out of retiring from professional rugby union was with every opportunity, just say yes. Say yes to everything and see what happens." And I'm just like, you know what? All right, sweet. Let's go give it a crack. So anyways, we go into the ABC studio. He's like, "Oh, come in. They just want to meet us and see how we connect." Next thing you know, we're surrounded in this. We went into this boardroom, and there's all these Australian people, high corporate looking people with suits and ties. And I realized, oh man, this is actually a pretty serious meeting, and I'm there in my sports gears. And then
that's cool.
They were like, "Oh, so how? What kind of media training do you have?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I've done a couple interviews for rugby league."
I got an Instagram.
That's pretty much how it was. Just played along, and then they're like, "Okay, we're going to throw you and Sammy in the studio. You can just talk about footy, and we'll see how we go." So me and Sammy get in the studio. We just start talking about life and footy. And after about 30 minutes, they knock on the door. They're like, "All right, guys, yep, we've seen enough. You'll run a couple pilots, and once we think we're good to go, you will kick off." So me and Sammy are like, "Hey, what the hell? What's going on here?" About 3 pilots later, we start our show. And then that one opportunity had led to so many other opportunities. Now we run 2 shows each week on Nesian Footy. Also open you can listen to Nesian Footy wherever you find your podcast.
But I've listened.
Yeah, we've also that's led to an opportunity on that Pacific Sports Show that they play on ABC. So Tiana and Sammy Wykes, they host that show, and I had a fair few appearances on that show, and even one time co-hosted the show with Sammy because Tiana Penatani was away that day, and we'd even gone over to the Solomon Islands, done some recording, me and Sammy, for that show. But yeah, just saying yes to that one opportunity had led to so many more. So grateful for having Sammy in my life, especially at that right time, because he had mentored me through my transition out of rugby league just from his own experiences. And we've had these visions and goals that we want to try and tick off, and everything that we've said has come to life. So, things like having a second show, going to the Solomon Islands, just being that kind of representation on the media platform as well is what it's about.
Yeah, brother, you said representation, and again, how important to you to us Pollies and Maoris as people, going back to representation, is it that the ABC's done this, having the radio show obviously, but having that show that Sam and them have as well, and that you've been able to jump on? How important do you think that is for our people? Because there's heaps of us here, brother, in the great land of Australia.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important, because like I said, it's you can't be what you can't see. So for us, it's being that person in that seat to give hope, give a sense of belief. It's also sorry, I just had a bit of a mind blank then. But that's the way I see it. I see it the way that, like, when I was a kid, all I knew was rugby league players, and all I knew was sports stars. I never really knew anyone in the media space. I didn't know any business owners, anyone in the corporate world. And even out here in Western Sydney, we've got a crew here in the FTA community that we try and push and drive one another and support one another to be great in different areas, whether it be in businesses, podcasts, and everyone's supportive. You could be a rapper, you could be a UFC athlete, you can play NRL, you'll still get the same love no matter what. We'll always support our own. So that's something that we're proud of, and something that we want to keep pushing on to.
You mean, brother? So you're still a Panthers fan, brother? Obviously, okay, coming up a Panthers fan. Still a Panthers fan?
Man, I've always dreamed of playing for the Panthers. They are, it is where home is. But having my first opportunity at the Sydney Roosters and being a part of that club, that's probably where I would be on par. So it would be Cronulla, Roosters, Panthers, all on the same line.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
That's good. What about when you were a kid? Did you obviously rugby? You said before the interview that you were a Highlanders fan growing up. Did you support any other NRL teams before you went over, or didn't you really watch much league?
Man, I didn't even know what rugby league was. My dad knew a little bit about it. He was a big Raiders fan, but I didn't know. I had no idea. All I knew was when I come here, I could run with a ball in my hand, and that was it. And when I went to school, everyone was talking about rugby league. No one even heard about rugby union. So my mum put me in a rugby league team, and it was and at the junior level, we went to St. Mary's first. I don't like to claim this because, of course, St. Clair Comets my home, and that's my junior club. But I went to St. Mary's Saints, which is their rival club, one of the biggest clubs in rugby league, junior rugby league clubs in the world. If you notice the last year's Penrith Panthers team, every second player was from St. Mary's Saints. They had Jerome Luai, Bizarre. They all played for St. Mary's. I think we only had Stephen Crichton that played for St. Clair, and played in the Division 2 team. I had to go back home to New Zealand for my grandfather's funeral. And then when we came back, this is the next year, they had already picked the Division 1 team. They're like, oh, you're going to have to spend another year in Div 2. Then my mom's like, nah, we're not doing that. Took me to Comets, ended up making the Division 1 team there. And that was that coach was the one that I mentioned earlier. Who I rang. I rang. Yeah. Coach. And every time I come back home from the UK, I'd always go and give him one of my jerseys, or just make sure I show that love, because without that opportunity, I don't think I wouldn't be where I am today.
Bro, that's dope, brother. I think a lot of people would resonate with that story, brother. That are on the way up, brother, or and think, I'm going to come back for you, brother, and just show some love, or always honor you as a person that's given me that opportunity to have that. What's the bro's name? The coach?
Brian Carney, Killer. That's his name.
Yeah, you're the Brian Carney, man. Hey, shout out to the bro. Shout out to the bro for sure, brother. That's major love, brother. Major love for sure. You get up to much mischief when you were a kid, or were you a pretty good kid in high school and that?
Oh man. Let's just say that, I loved it. Yep. I couldn't stay home, to be honest. I was one of those people that I was never content in staying in my own home or staying in my own house, and having a quiet life. So I was always out with my mates, always out with friends, and whether it be going out, just getting up to mischief. Even we had our own crew. It was pretty cool because I had my schoolmates that they were like my boys growing up, but then I had my footy mates. Now my footy mates, we all got up to mischief, but we all also knew that we wanted to play NRL, and we all had the same goals, but we all just were in a different surroundings. So we made sure that we would all come together and push each other. So our squad back then was actually called the Edge Squad. And Jesse,
Jesse spoke about that, brother, hard. Yeah. Okay, so you was in there too. There was you fellas, in the Edge.
Yeah, that was our boys. The Edge Squad. So there was about 5-6 of us, and 5 out of the 6 ended up playing in the NRL. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ah, that's on, brother. That's
four,
so do you think? But without that, obviously, you see, you got up the mischief in it. But how did you avoid the temptations of because there's countless stories of this fellow was the man player, this fellow was the man, but you know what I mean, went down the wrong path. How did you still have that little bit of fun, but then also not go too far? Was it just you boys keeping each other accountable, or?
Oh, bro, there's a bit of would always a bit of balance. So say we'd go out, have a night out. I
Yeah.
remember one night we went out and I'd come home the next early mornings, dusty as the next morning, and then we actually had sand dunes. We had to go to the sand dunes, and I remember Jesse and one of the boys. I used to live in the garage at Mum's house, and they come. It was about 5 a.m. Come knocking on the door, and they're like, "Hurry up!" I'm like, "Oh man, I forgot about that." So knowing I went out the night before, we always say you work it off. So I was like, yo, put the training gears on, dusty as, still get out to Cronulla and do the sand dune session. That was one of the toughest sessions too. Not because I was, a bit dusty and probably still a bit, from the couple beers that I had, but it was a tough session, whoever ran it then. But that's what we were like. We're like, all right, if you're going to go and have fun, you make sure you work after. Or if we knew that we're going out and doing something, it would work during the week. So we'd always make sure that there's that balance. And sacrifice was another big thing, making sure that we knew that we had to make sacrifices, whether that be sacrifice going out, whether that be sacrificing eating what your family was eating. My family probably didn't have the best diet or didn't know what was good. So I didn't even know what was good back then, but I knew what we were eating wasn't good. So I remember one day when I realized this is what I wanted to be an NRL player and I needed to eat different. I put a potato in the oven thinking the potato would be a healthier option than what my family was eating. So yeah, and as we stayed involved with rugby league, you start to learn what's good to eat, what's not good to eat. But a lot of it was, if you're going to have fun, you make sure you work as well.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, brother. So if there's a couple, I don't want to keep you forever, but just got a couple of questions before we do bounce. Is that all right?
No, all good. Take your time.
Yeah, sweet as, brother. So if there's a young player out there that's listening to this and wants to hey Tinirau, like if you had a little tidbit for me on how I can become an NRL player, I've got the ability, I've got the work ethic. What's one little piece of advice you'd give me?
Ooh, one piece of advice I'll give to it. Well, there's so many. I'd say probably one thing that comes straight to mind is just the fundamentals. Make sure you work hard on the simple things, the fundamentals of the game. Whether that just be your simple catch pass, whether that's just simple, if you're a half, making sure you just knuckle down on the basics, and then you build your foundation. And I always say to our kids and their teams that I coach, I go, you're still learning these skills even when you get to the NRL. The NRL players are still learning, still going over their habits of just catch pass, and don't get bored of that. Don't get bored of the fundamentals, the basic things that's going to be your foundation. That was one that just come to mind. One that I probably took on board. So my basics were more around the defensive technique. I wasn't, I'm not the biggest middle. So Brian Smith, he said you have to be really good technically. So as a technician, you just have to understand your technique in the defense and how to slow the ruck. So I spent hours and hours on, just going over different skills, different techniques on the mats, and it gets boring, but eventually it becomes second, natural once you get out on the field, and you're tired, you're fatigued, you fall back to your habits, to what you've been practicing over and over again. Because under pressure, when you're under pressure, when you're tired, when you're fatigued, you'll always go back to your old habits. So creating those good habits when you're under fatigue to fall back on.
Basics, basics. Fundamentals are the key, a huge key.
Yeah, because like effort, pure talent can only get you so far, and also, but it's also the work ethic behind it. And with with work ethic is also working on those basics and going over and over and over them. That would be my little tip.
I remember hearing a story about Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods spent a day with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan went to they're in New York, hung out overnight, whatever, had not much sleep, and then Michael went to the garden to go and practice, go train before the game, whatever, and he just practiced the same shot. Just practice this like turn around fadeaway, brother, and just keep giving the ball to Tiger. Just I want it here, and Tiger just keep throwing it to him, like over and over and over, and then eventually that night he ended up winning the game with that shot. So even the greats practice repetition. You know what I mean? There's, I think it was Ari on. Your boy Isaac John Ice's podcast, the Ice Project, and he said, I think I asked him like, what's it like being an All Black, and blah blah blah. Obviously, being from New Zealand, the top of the food chain, the All Blacks, like a religion. And he said, bro, it's just fundamentals, bro. They just focus on basics. Focus on basics when you get up to that higher level. So I think that what you said there is paramount, brother. Obviously, like as you get higher in the levels, they just zone in more on the fundamentals. So,
I think the biggest moment for me was when I had my biggest loss. That was another thing. So I played New South Wales schoolboys for combined high schools, captained that team in under 15s, and thought, we lost the grand final of Queensland, but I thought, I'm a good chance. There's still hope of making the Australian team. Now, the Australian team is just a merit team. They don't play any games, but to have that status of, damn, you made Australia, schoolboys, you're the man. And I went to college and high school up until year 10, which is like a public school in Western Sydney. And making New South Wales and captaining the team then was, a huge achievement for myself. But I wanted that Australian jersey as well. But not making that team, I pretty much cried for a whole day straight. But then it was that loss that sort of put that fire in my belly and said, all right, now it's my turn to prove everyone wrong.
Yeah.
And I had some really, really good mates that made that Australia team. And I said, I'll one day be better than all of them. Just from that fire in my belly, from taking that loss. Now, could have taken it two ways. And the other way could have been, damn, I'm not good enough. That drive's gone now. But no, that was the moment. Using that loss, I was waking up early before school, going for a jog around the block, eating Wheat Bix in the morning, thinking that was healthy. And but that was the moment when I said, okay, I want to be an NRL player and be better than all those people that thought I wasn't good enough. And there was a lot of losses throughout that, like up until my NRL debut. But just learning how to learn from your losses. That's the big one. Using it as motivation, because there's going to be plenty for every athlete. There's always losses, and it's okay. How can you learn from it? What do you gain from it? And then try and prove everyone else wrong from it.
Yeah, brother. I love that, brother. I'll show you bastards. I love that, brother. I love that G in you, brother. Like, that's a big. I've always been similar in myself, brother. If people say I can't do something, I'll do all I can to prove you wrong. So hopefully, it's like you said, or you could go the other way. So there you go, fam. Feel their fire. I had a conversation with Elijah Taylor, and he talked about that too, channeling your energy. Like, if you're going through a hard time, you can either choose to live in that and go down, cry and wallow in it forever. Like, there's nothing wrong with tears or anything, but eventually you got to pick yourself up and choose. If you choose to channel your energy in the right direction, who knows what you can achieve, brother?
Oh man, it can be powerful. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of food, brother, the good old potato in the microwave being the healthiest thing that the Arno could provide at the time. If you could only eat one meal, brother, one actual meal for the rest of your life, what do you choose?
Oh, one meal. Just gonna have to say meat. Just eat meat. I'll just go carnivore. Just
carnivore
with the fat on it. Yeah, I'll just go straight meat.
What meat though? What meat are we going for?
We're going for just some slow cooked beef or slow cooked lamb, either or. One or the other, I can live with for the rest of my life because it keeps you full. There's some good nutrients in there. All good. We'll sit with the carnivore diet.
The carnivore diet. Who's your top 5? And this is relative to right now because it could change tomorrow, next week, in 10 years' time. Who's your top 5 players that you played with or against in your whole career?
Oh, top 5 players I played with or against. So, number 1, man, has to be. There's no other bigger star than Sonny Bill Williams.
Let's go. His speed up.
Sonny, I'll just stick with the ones that I've played with. So Sonny Bill, because just his aura, the professional that he was, and the way that he can change the whole dressing room just from walking into it.
Is that real? Is it when people talk about that? Because you were there when he came in 2013, huh?
Yeah, 2013. Man, 100%. He's got that NBA aura where if an NBA star walks in the room, you're like, oh, there he goes. Then that was Sonny. It's like, oh, Sonny's here. And he's got the aura when he walks in his own dressing rooms. Even if it's his own teammates, you still feel that kind of energy.
What about the human brother? Like him as a human being, obviously seems like a very an awesome human being also.
Oh, bro, he was one good example was I remember at the Roosters when the massage tables were getting packed up and the massage ladies would go and take their massage tables to the car. And one time, Sonny just picks up as the lady's walking over, grabs the thing, walks it all the way to the car. He's just a genuine human. And I remember one night we went to a bar. It was after a team function and the boys were all meeting at a bar. Went to the bar. We're in the same taxi, and then the boys were at the back of the bar. And I realized as we're walking in that people started looking. I'm like, oh, damn, I walked in with Sonny. I was just go, hey, bro, I'll see you later. Hey, bro, I'll see you later. Then I just got straight to the boys at the back. And it took him an hour to get from the front to the back as he had to
true.
Take photos and speaking to everyone. So, the aura and energy he brings and the human being he is, it's unique, and he's a great person.
Yeah, I remember meeting him as a kid, brother, a couple of times as a young buck, as a teenager, and exactly what you said, brother. Just a beautiful human being, brother. So I'm with you on that for sure. I think misunderstood, but also, you working in the media now, I think the media just sort of portrayed him as different a lot of times. But again, the couple of experiences I had and everybody I've ever known that's come across Sonny has always been legit and soul to the earth human being.
100%. I'm trying to think of the players that all my teammates would say the same thing, so they don't feel disrespected if I don't say their name.
No, but like I said, my brother, it's just relative to now, because tomorrow you wake up and you can be like, oh, I forgot the word, or next in 10 years' time you might be like, actually, that fellow was all right, or so it's only for now, brother. It's for this one moment.
I'd say, just the influence, the players that have that kind of influence on their clubs, and I know, Roger was a huge player, but the person that helped Roger become Roger was Anthony Manicello.
Mini.
So I'd say Mini is definitely up there. Being the captain of the Sydney Roosters, the way that he come back from his back injury, the way that he was doing Pilates and yoga and rehab stuff before rehab was even a thing in rugby league. Everyone was looking at, bro, what's all this core stuff that you're doing? This was in early 2010s, 29, 28, 2008. Sorry, 2008, 2009, 2010. He was doing that stuff. And then about 4 or 5 years later, every team was doing it. So he was doing it before any other team had even thought about it. Even the stuff that he was eating, now everyone's eating the same kind of diet, the old carnivore, or using organic meat, organic fats. So he was way ahead of the trend, and he was in his 30s then too. So, and then I also watched Roger Tuivasa-Sheck be Anthony Manicello's shadow for about a year, and seen the development from Roger, the rugby union player, to Roger, the rugby league player. Because remember, Roger was a
was a Blues junior. And Otahuhu, yeah, brother, that's right.
And the way that he learned rugby league was one, the coaches, but also learning off Mini. So I'd say Mini. I'd have to put Gal because Gal's just the Cronulla Sharks legend. Yeah, so he's the way that the leader that he was, winning the first NRL premiership for the Cronulla Sharks. Yeah, man, there's so many. I would say
got a couple in the UK. Was there a couple in the UK that stood out to you?
Yeah, like then, so I'll say the two probably that stand out for me. David Fafita, Andrew Fafita's brother.
Yeah, the Boppers, big
Boppers. Bopper. So David became Andrew in the UK.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
dominating.
While Andrew was dominating, and then the NRL, David was doing the exact same thing in Super League, if not a little bit better. But yeah, man, Dave owned the Super League at one point, and I know that he's a big legend in our club. And two English fellas, Matty Astros and Danny Kerman, two back rowers, English back rowers from Wakefield Trinity, both legends of our club, and leaders that sort of reined everyone together when it was needed.
What's their names again, brother? Sorry.
Danny Kerman and Matty Astros, the two English fellas.
Yeah, the boys, up the kids.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so many stars right across the board, Origin players, international players. It'd be disrespectful if I could just name 5 of them. So
yeah, but
there's a lot more. Those are just one of the special mentions.
Hey, shout out to the little politically correct statement.
Well, I think those are the ones where the other players heard it, they were like, "Yeah, actually, nah, he's right."
Yeah, I can't hate on that. I can't hate on that. Hey,
even like it. Well, Jared deserves a mention. Jared Away-the Hargraves to be able to play at that level and in that position for such a long time, playing this 300th game this weekend. It's
How do you do that, brother? Dominating, being in the washing machine, like being that dominant for that long, and still if Jared wants to, he could still be. He still is one of the best props in the game. You know what I mean, brother? If people want to go with me, he's keen.
Yeah, I think you just got to look at the work that they do outside of the game. Everyone gets to see 80 minutes on the field. They see the superstar, they see the efforts, but they don't see what happens off the field. So that, to me, those players, that they're doing the right stuff off the field, and they're putting in the extras, they're sacrificing time with their family, with their friends, and putting their energy in their preparation for their performances. So I know Jared's been doing that for a number of years, and he's probably one of the last of a dying breed. The kind of prop that he plays, there's not many of them props out of in the game right now. So he deserves his recognition, and I'm just proud to be able to say, oh man, I got to play with that fella.
Yeah, good whack too. I mean, so good Sonny, but fucking Jared, good whack too.
Yeah, oh man, I've come across a number of big whackers. Him, Sam Moa could whack.
Oh yeah, Sam Moa, gangster.
Dylan Napa, Kane Evans, they could both whack.
100%.
There was that big one where Kane Evans put
Cassiano,
yeah. He puts it on his bum.
100%.
One of my claims to fame actually is when Sam Burgess runs over Sonny Bill Williams in 2013, round 1.
Yeah.
So it was Sonny Bill's return game to NRL. Sam Burgess gets a dropout, runs it off the kickoff, boom, straight over Sonny Bill. And then there I am on the right, jumping on Sam Burgess' legs to pull him down.
Big Tinirau made that tackle.
That's my claim to fame.
What did you say to Sam, brother? Now you felt the tea. No.
Well, back then I was like, man, I wish right now thinking about it, I wish I'd try and come out and at least try and put a whack on. But that just wasn't my style back then. And I was more of a lighter forward, lighter lock, and probably seen the big Englishman running towards us. I was like, oh, Sonny's going to pump him. And then I was like, anyway, Sonny ended up going on and winning the comp. So and then Sonny give it back to him in the World Cup anyway. Yeah, give him a couple good ones too. So that's 100%. definitely got the last laugh.
Yeah, definitely, brother. Hey, if you could have one superpower, what superpower do you choose and why?
Oh wow, I've been asked this a few times actually.
Fish.
I would say, and I'd just love to. I wouldn't mind transporting. Being the ability to transport. Because that way I get to travel the world and get to go back home, get to go to the Cook Islands
Oh,
when I feel like
teleporting.
it. Yeah,
Teleport.
teleport. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, not transport. What a
Yeah.
fresh teleporting. Yeah,
Yeah, what a fresh year.
the
That's it,
power of
brother.
teleporting. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
flying, but flying would take too long, so teleporting would be for me.
That's my thoughts too, brother. Teleport, you could go have breakfast in Paris, have dinner in New York or whatever, like just like this,
Yeah,
can be back to the family, go wherever, take everybody. Want to go on a trip, grab onto me, let's go. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that's the one.
I think that's all, my brother. Hey, last question, my brother. Take us 10 years from now. What's Big T doing? What's Tinirau Arona? What are you up to, my brother? Where are you?
That is
What,
a very, very good question. Long term. Okay, where are we going in 10 years? I've only
mm,
thought about 5 years ahead, but I'll go 10 years. Um, I think for me, I just want to be at the highest level possible, where there's, um, not many Pacific Islander people, so that I can be an example for my kids and for the future generation. So whether that be in media, whether that be in rugby league, rugby league's where my heart is at. So I want to be involved with the game. I've always said I've loved coaching, so coaching might be a route down the line. Um,
ooh.
but yeah, being involved in the game, but being at the highest level, just so I can be that example for our next generation, for our younger Māori and Pacific Islander people. So that's where I want to be in 10 years.
Yeah, love it, brother. And hopefully in Cronulla, eh? Hopefully.
If my sons let me know. They we moved back to Australia from the UK, and it was during the time where Samoa were in the World Cup finals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
And
in
we
Western
had all
Sydney would have
the
been
in
popping, eh?
Western Sydney, man, we had all the parades going off, and we had all my family members around as well. A lot of my family members are part of the community, and everything that Western Sydney is about. That's what everyone just gets around one another, and
Mm.
my sons felt that love. They felt that connection. Being disconnected from Western Sydney, from our culture, from our family for 7 years in the UK, they finally came and found their identity. And then when I mentioned to them, "Oh, we're looking at going to Cronulla," they pretty much begged us, saying, "You two can go. We'll go stay with with our parents." And me and my wife
Mm.
had that discussion, going, "Okay, we better stay for them." So,
Hey, I just thought of one more question since you're speaking, because you do have twins. To anybody that's about to have twins, brother, any advice?
oh, any advice for anyone that's about to have twins? Strap in, enjoy the ride. Don't take life too seriously, and try and be patient with your wife. Your wife will be going through, or your husband will be going through a number of different emotions and stress levels. So just be
Mm.
patient, try and work together, and then also try and find support. We were lucky that we had both our parents nearby. It took a tribe to raise my two, and that was important to make sure that we had a really close circle and connection of family to help us raise our boys. So that'd be the advice that I'd share. I know it's a lot easier saying it than doing it,
Yeah,
but
but
hang in there.
nah, cool, my brother. Beautiful. Hey, my brother, I just want to thank you for this opportunity again. Time is the most valuable commodity we have as human beings, brother. So thank you. And even wifey for allowing us the time to share with you, brother, your story. I know we could probably sit here for another 10 weeks, brother. And hey, hopefully maybe at the end of the year or next year, come back on and tell us how the first year and the media went and all the rest, brother. I'll be keen if you're keen.
Yep, 100%. No, I appreciate you getting us on, and I love what you're doing too, bro. It's it's pretty cool to be able to share this platform and understand your story and why you're doing what you're doing, and it's inspiring for our future generation as well. So much love, Cuss.
Much love, my brother. Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.